What's your biggest professional triumph? And it could be more than one. It could be personal as well.
Well, for me, it's going to be the process of getting Peerless up and off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned in the bio, I had some mentors who were trying to play matchmaker and suggested I talk with Carson and Corky.
Sure.
And when I came on board, it was kind of a shell of a building. We were just putting up drywall. The concrete wasn't even finished on the first floor.
Mm-hmm.
When I met and shook Carson and Corky's hand for the first time, I was standing in mud and gravel.
Wow.
I always like to say, there are people who get on the ground floor of a business. I was there when we actually poured that concrete.
Nice. I like that. I like that.
So to start on board, to get up and running, I guess it was kind of Carson and Corky's means of vetting me. Because originally I had no idea it was going to pan out into a career or a job. I mean, I thought I was just following my mentor's recommendations to get some good experience, to learn, and to grow. And so I came on board and I started sawing and stacking lumber. I mean, that was my first job. Saw, stack, lumber, pull nails. Eventually I graduated to shoveling gravel, which is actually a big promotion because it's about 10 degrees cooler downstairs. But when we, it matters.
I get it.
So once these different mechanical tasks started popping up, because of my upbringing, because I'd been picking up and learning everything I could from anybody who was willing to let me watch them, I was able to talk shop with these engineers, with these mechanical contractors, and really just kind of pull this whole process together. So what started out with laying out steam lines and laying out chilled water lines eventually turned into laying out the boiler, laying out the chiller, the distillation equipment, all the process piping in between. And to me, one of the, I don't want to say foolish, but very faithful moves on Corky and all these engineers' parts was they entrusted me to write the manual for how everything was supposed to work together. So one of the coolest things I was able to do and able to get, I mean, I was a 23-year-old college kid.
Right.
I've convinced these engineers and these consultants and Carson and Corky, who all had a good bit of faith in me. I convinced them that I was the one who needed to write this manual for how all this equipment was to run.
That's the Moxie part. That's why I wanted to have you on the show. It's fascinated by the story. Yeah. It's amazing what you've done. We're going to get to keep going.
Yeah. Sorry. So it was just this immense fascination with how it all was supposed to run. I mean, all these things that had kind of fell in place, the mechanical upbringing, the fascination, the years spent in college researching and learning. And I mean, it was everything I could do to learn. And so this all summated in this opportunity for me to write this control scheme for how every switch, every pump, every valve, how everything fit together and worked together. And there's actually a picture of the desk that I programmed it all on. Basically, we had just received our boiler, and one of the pieces of machinery was a blowdown separator. Well, I took the pallet that it came on, knocked one leg off, put a loose piece of plywood on top, and I wrote how Peerless was to function on top of that.
Amazing.
Surrounded by loose 2x4s and everything else. Because, like I said, it was rough construction in an unconditioned warehouse.
Wow. So
once all that got put together, we turned it over to a systems integrator. And keep in mind, I'm balancing this with college at the time.
Yeah, I'd
go to school Monday through Thursday, drive here Thursday night, go to the distillery Friday, and get all the marching orders for all the different contractors in line. And that isn't to say that I didn't do the same thing through the week. It was just all over the phone. But when we turned this document over to a systems integrator, he was responsible for taking it all, setting up the graphics, the control scheme, the programming, the ladder logic that runs that central computer. Like you said in the bio, this computer is going to aid distillers by directly controlling the different valves and different processes in the plant. So when we go to start everything up, there was a good bit of the code that didn't flow quite properly. You'd press a button, the wrong action would happen. Or a sensor would go off, and there were a lot of bugs. And at that point, I really didn't have a whole lot of support in the electrical engineering world. So kind of on my own, I went to a 2-hour course offered in Lexington, put on by Siemens that introduced people, just basic introductory course to their programming software. So between what I learned in that course, a bunch of Googling, a good bit of research, and a little bit of help from tech support, I was able to inherit this program and tailor it and change it and reprogram it to fit our process. And at the end of the day, it allowed us to be a lot more innovative, because even while I was an amateur programmer at best, because I understood the process a lot better than the fellow who was trying to program it, I was able to create a better product at the end of the day.
It's great.
And so it was, to me, the defining moment from a professional standpoint has to be actually taking the shell of a building and transferring it into a fully functioning operating distillery.
It's amazing.